So, dear brothers and sisters, for all of you who attend Holy Family, you all know that at the beginning of the year we do what's known as a temperaments quiz, so that we can know ourselves a little better, to discover what kind of temperament we have. And it's very interesting. I must say, I found it fascinating when I did it first, because again, in my naivety, I guess, I kind of presumed everyone saw the world like I do. And if everyone sees the world like I do, then why don't people react like I do? I'm kind of a fixer, kind of. So if I see something broken, I just gravitate towards it and want to fix it. And if there's time at all, why doesn't everyone do that? Why do people keep walking past it? Why do people not oil the squeaky hinge or door handle? Why don't they do it? I don't know. Okay, so then we did this temperaments quiz. And the temperaments quiz, it's to help us, as I say, to understand ourselves and understand others, that not everyone sees the world like we do. So the four main temperaments are choleric, so tend to be a little more, well, the positive side is that one tends to be more of a leader. Negative side, you can be a wee bit bossy. Phlegmatic, you tend to be quite calm, which is kind of a positive. It also means when stuff really needs to be done. What, me? Then you've got sanguine, hi, full of life, full of beans, yes, but no direction, just, okay. And then melancholic, dedicated to tasks and dedicate like a small number of friendships, but intensely, but can also be maybe a little heavy, a little tendency towards kind of sadness. Okay, good. So most people are a combination of two of those. Okay, why do I say all this? When we did the quiz once, one of the girls afterwards, she came to me and said, "Oh, I'm absolutely livid." Now her word was raging, so that tells you where she comes from. If you're from Ireland, you know what that means. She said, "I was absolutely livid. I'm raging." She said, "I said, what's wrong?" She said, "I did that stupid quiz." And I said, "All right, what's the problem?" And she said, "I'm choleric." And it was so funny, because I thought, like typical reaction of a choleric, like to be angry at the fact that you now know that you're choleric. But what's interesting is, when we look at the lives of the apostles, you can see characteristics, you can see like their temperaments through what they do and what they write. And it's clear that St. Paul was a choleric, like, boom, straight down the line and blunt. What I find fascinating about today's saint, so St. Barnabas the Apostle, St. Barnabas, obviously, as you know from hopefully that song you learned in primary school, he's not one of the 12 apostles. If you sing the whole song to yourself, you'll notice he's not one of them. And yet today's feast is St. Barnabas Apostle, but he's not one of the 12. He's such a kind of an honorary apostle. He's one of the first converts in Jerusalem. But then he goes on to be quite an incredible missionary in Jerusalem itself, in Antioch. Himself, Paul, and John Mark, when they went to Laconia, they were the ones who wanted to make them gods. When they heard them speak, they said, "Oh, these are gods incarnate. Let's make them gods. Let's honor them as gods. Let's make sacrifices for them." And Barnabas, Paul, and John Mark are like, "No. We're not gods. We're not gods." In the end, they actually tried to stone them. The people tried to stone them, the apostles, and have them leave. So, anyway, point being, they were incredible witnesses. They knew they had seen something powerful. They knew they had lived or experienced something of the glory of God, of the love of God. But this is, I think, the point. When we receive from the Lord, when we see who He is and how He is, that's not just for us. It's not just a dead end. It doesn't kind of flow into us and then stop. I think there can be a kind of consumerist mentality also as regards our faith, that the graces from the sacraments, sacramentals, blessings, anything holy, that these are things that we receive for ourselves and good, because I receive these things for myself because I want to be better, I want to be holier, I want to be happier, I want to be healed. Good. But the problem is that can become a kind of a dead end. Whatever has been given to us is given to us also to give to others. You will be my witnesses, says the Lord. And you might say, well, being a witness as in like preaching, teaching, being out there in the visible eye of people, I don't really want that. If you're phlegmatic, you didn't even hear the question. If you're melancholic, you might be kind of shy about, oh, I don't know. If you're sanguine, you're like, yes, let's do mission there and there and here and there and what? And then if you're choleric, you want, okay, we need a system. We need a system. Okay. But the point is, all of us are called to be missionary, which means all of us have a certain amount of responsibility. And some people love responsibility. Again, this is just a difference of personality. Some people love when there's something to be done. It's not that they see themselves as the be-all and end-all of the world, but they know they can do it. They know they can lead. They know that I have a systematic mind. I know that if I'm given this responsibility, I can do it. I don't want to be super important, but I know I can do my job. Okay, and others do not want responsibility. Others, oh, no. You can do whatever whatever you want. Whatever you want is fine. You work away. I'll just tell me what I have to do. Some people like leading. Some people cannot stand leadership or responsibility. And yet, before God, all of us have responsibility. There's no way around this. It's slightly terrifying. But before God, all of us have responsibility. Each one of us is given like this little treasure chest of the faith. So you have received the sacraments. You have received so many graces, masses, prayers, pilgrimages. You have received the patrimonio, they call it in Italian, the inheritance, I think. Heritage of inheritance. We have received the faith, okay? And that faith, we receive it, we have to hold on to it faithfully and pass it on without changing it. That's the job of each Christian. That's the job also of the Pope. He receives the faith from his predecessor. He protects it, makes it known, and passes it on to the next one. You don't have to add anything to it. We're not coming up with new teachings and new doctrines all the time. We don't necessarily need them. We might need to clarify certain things, as regards maybe moral ethics or cloning, things which didn't exist 100 years ago. But I'm not adding any new teaching. I'm not changing things. I'm just protecting it, making it known, and passing it on faithfully. And that's your job, independently of your temperament, independently of your personality type. Each one of us is called to be a witness. And whether we want to or not, each one of us already is. Because if people see that you go to Mass, they already watch your behavior with a slightly more acute eye. If because you go to Mass and then they see a regular Mass attender drunk, or they see a regular Mass attender being impatient in the car park, or they see, even it's the smallest things, like you're in the queue in Lidl, you know what I mean, and you're the sacristan, and you see like there's one lady in the queue, she's not really paying attention, so you scoot in ahead of her in the queue. I guarantee you, if that lady knows you're and you the sacristan, and skip in the queue, you know what I mean, immediately, you're the sacristan, so you're supposed to hold a moral standard. Everyone knows. So because we go to Mass, because we are Christian, because we're Catholic, we're held to a higher standard. And rightly so. To be honest, rightly so. We should be living differently. We should live in a way that's different to the world. Not because we want to be better than them. It's nothing to do with us comparing ourselves to others and trying to be better. It's us trying to be faithful to the Lord. That makes us different, especially in today's world, which is veering very quickly away from God's will. So being a witness does not depend on our personality type. It depends on our baptism. Now, some will feel that desire to maybe start like a catechism group or run pilgrimages and be able to use their gifts and their talents to organize things. Fantastic. But even for those who have slightly more reserved or introvert personalities, melancholic and phlegmatic, all of us are still called to be witnesses. All of us already are witnesses. All of us are already watched. And I don't want to say criticized, but you know what I mean. Our behavior is seen, it is noted. This is what the apostles did in an exemplary way, having had no idea that 2,000 years later we'd be speaking about them. Do you think St. Barnabas, when he was doing all these journeys and trips, do you think that he knew that one day we would be speaking about him 2,000 years later? He had no idea. So what was he doing? Was he doing it for the glory? He risked his life making the Lord known and loved. He was faithful to what was handed on to him, and he handed that on faithfully to the next generation. That's your job. We are called to be witnesses. We are called to reflect the love of God in this world. We're called to be his hands and his feet. This isn't easy. For some it might be a bit easier than for others, but all of us are called to be his witnesses. All of us have that responsibility. So we ask the Lord today, through the prayers and intercession of St. Barnabas, to give us a calm confidence in the Lord's grace, to form our hearts according to his own, to form our hearts to be ever more missionary. Amen.